Today I'm here to cover the World card from the Rider-Waite deck with you guys. I've done an awful lot of them. There's the nitty-gritty few left. Definitely, hopefully this can bring some inspiration to you. I'm just going to kind of go over symbols, thoughts, interpretations, and hopefully that can, you can relate to that in some way. If you have any thoughts, of course, about this card, just comment below. And yeah, we'll get into that. Other notes would just be that next is going to be my recommended reading list, and I'm going to go through, I'm going to make sections, like here's my hard, cover copies that I love, like, as an old soul, I love the physical copies. And then we could do like a section, I'll label it like maybe medical, maybe, plant knowledge, and contemporary occult reading, and then maybe like, shit from a few centuries ago. And that way it's just kind of more organized, but I can give it a little bit more detail and attention that I think I haven't done in other years. I've done the same, every year I recommend reading. So hopefully that will turn out, to be helpful here. And so, yeah. And then basically I'm going to start planning some places to take you guys. Yeah, if you, I don't even know. I don't have any paranormal equipment stuff. So if you know of any good, like spirit box apps that I could download and, recommend, definitely let me know on that. Because it's pretty much just going to be me. I might take my husband, but it would be, if he might help me, film it. But I also think there's a pretty good chance I'll just go to some of these places alone here. So, keeping it simple and basic. But at the same time, I think that I could definitely elicit, some pretty clear, powerful responses. In addition to all the things that we can go do, like libations at cemeteries, and take you guys to some special historical significant people that we talk about grave customs, cemetery customs, just a range of stuff. So I'm really excited about that. But so tarot, let's do some book list stuff. Of course, it's starting to be fall, so it's about time for some adventures, right, everybody? So yeah, back to today's topic, and we have the World card. So in the four corners here, we have the four fixed zodiac signs. So 4 here is, of course, 4 is complete. 4 is fair and square. It's solid. It's the 4 directions, the 4 corners of the universe. Fixed zodiac sign. The 4 elements. And so this is, basically these directions, and how the universe, splits. Everything splits into these different directions and 4s. In a lot of different cultures, 4 is a complete idea, completes a cycle. So when we have the 4 seasons, nature, existence is cyclic, as indicated here. So those are just, it's kind of like the idea that it's tying it into time. So with the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, you as a person, because we're talking about the world, so we're talking about an individual life experience. We were born at a certain time, and there are, aspects of that you embody. Not down to these fine specifics, I think, so much of astrology, like, that is really, interesting and has so much to offer, but it is just, that even if, let's say, you don't really see that at all, you are definitely a part of the cosmos, a part of the and you emanate and embody this time and that you were born. You are this physical body right now, right? So you having this subjective experience as the person you are now is, there's details, and that makes you this individual and that is a part of that. So the ruling card of the world is Saturn. So Saturn is associated with cycles, again, and death in particular. So Saturn has a really strong influence right now. It's very close to the Earth. It's the closest it's been in 30 years. So we are experiencing as a planet, the Saturn, a Saturn returns kind of idea. So, and we see the world is changing. It will never be the same, with things becoming so expensive and, all this upheaval. And it is really that things will simply never be the same. This is the ending of a cycle and beginning of a new. So it is that, when you think back to your childhood, or, like for me, when I think about the 1990s, that it's just a whole other place and time with its own culture and customs. And, but, and I long, so much, the little girl in me longs for that. But that is the past. It is a whole different cycle, and I have transitioned into an adult, right? And the world is a different place than, what I grew up in, right? So, so we're going through the cycles here. But yeah, the death of one, and we're going through the transition. So, then when we look at the actual wreath, to the ancient Greeks, wreaths were symbols of victory, and during, parades after they won battles, they would parade, through a place and bring a wreath to announce victory. And so when you go to cemeteries and you see they're if it's an older cemetery, there's going to definitely be wreaths. That's the symbol basically of victory of life over death. So it is this big victory that life has even existed in the first place, that existence has ever even happened. So every life lived is a victory of where there should be nothing, we exist. And it truly is such a triumph of creation to even make this happen. The amount of chemicals, gases, and the right amount of things that make life possible are part of the mystery of creation here. And so that is, back in the day, all those cemetery symbols kind of go back to that, because we had the Greek revival in American culture, and it was supposed to really, we were trying to emanate Greek ideals, because that's kind of why, like, France gave us the Statue of Liberty, that, America is a democracy, and people like President Thomas Jefferson really instilled these values in American culture. So everyday life, like in the 1800s, was filled with these Greek understandings of things. So they adopted those symbols, and they put those on their tombstones and named their children, so the younger and the elder, right, junior and stuff like that, and they really named their children after their fathers and grandfathers and so forth, because it's just permeated American culture. And we see this here in the tarot, because of course that's where we, the Rider-Waite deck comes out of the 1800s, and they were definitely bringing forth those symbols, and it really has, is still such a part of our culture, really, I would say. But yeah, so the ribbons, okay, at the top and the bottom of the wreath, those have to do with the transitions of life and death. So, in the cycles of life and death, life itself, and then the ribbon is a transition. So, of course, this is another you know, this alludes to the fact here that we have the cycles changing, transition, just like Saturn. It's coming to an end, the death of something. So, you know, particularly through death, of course, there can just be transitions. But yeah, it just is the ribbons have to do with that. And it, you know, the red color is very earthy. Blood. Blood is the essence of life. And, you know, it's vital. So our blood, we have iron in our blood. Other trace minerals we need. So that's, I mean, we need the things that come out of the earth. And things like minerals, humans don't need high amounts of them, but what we do need is that these trace amounts. Most of them the body could store, but they do important things. For example, copper. So basically when you have like an injury, before your body even puts white blood cells out to the injury location, the body produces hydrogen peroxide, which is oxidizing, right? And so after the white blood cells go to the site location and do their thing, which is, you know, to combat injury and illness, copper will make the body, ground the body to stop from doing that, to stop the producing hydrogen peroxide. So in other words, we as human beings have within ourselves, just like the earth, a type of grounding system. I mean, we need to be grounded to the earth itself, but just like the earth has minerals and rocks, we are made of that as well, and we need that to even be alive. And so, I mean, that is, you know, things like copper. Copper conducts electricity. We're made of water. We conduct electricity. And so minerals are your functioning ability at such a basic level. Because if your body just continued to oxidize things randomly without stopping, that would just be, you know, life would not be possible. So, love the rocks, love the trees, and so we are literally made of the earth. So the parts of us that are of the earth help us function at some of the most basic levels. And, you know, have to do with the immune system as well, which ties back to the earth. Mother Earth, here shaped like an oval, shaped like the shape of a womb, protects us, and we are also made of that, which in turn is our own mechanism, as within, so without. So we as humans we are able to ground ourselves and function in that sense. I do believe that, you know, if you want to talk about paranormal, that's also how entities attach and why they might want to have another human, a living human experience, is because that a human being is grounding to them. And so, just some food for thought. Let's see. So, you know, we have basically, you know, she's kind of angelic looking, like in this classical kind of, you know, sense. But as you can notice, covering her junk, we can't see what's underneath it. So what is underneath it is a dick. That's basically because the universe is both male and female. You know, the yin yang, and you know, these are the forces of creation. So, you know, it's the sun and moon, man and woman, and so the reason that we do see her breasts, though, and you know, I mean, I care to argue maybe she has a more feminine face, but I mean, you know, that's really not a focus. Is that the universe is simply slightly more feminine. creation. So creation, in order for creation to even take place here, there has to be that shielding, egg protective environment. So cells, have walls that protect them. Most things are, in order for life to exist, there has to be the recessive feminine womb nature, right? So all this, basically the stories about woman created after man. The first humans were women. Even back before that, we're talking more about hermaphrodite type creatures, but it had to have this function of the womb to protect it, because if anything is simply just exposed, it just won't survive, like cells, like bacteria, right? The building blocks of life, of evolution. And so that has to exist. In the earth, the earth's core is made of iron that is changing from liquid to solids, and that is the recessive magnetic force that makes life possible on Earth. It shields us from the sun, solar winds, and other forms of electricity, because we're electric when we're not grounded, so we are being constantly shocked, even though we don't feel it, and you know what I mean, like by all that going on. So that protective feminine aspect of creation has to exist, and then we can have the male aspect of creation take place. So cells, and like I said, the protective force, that is very important. And another aspect of the drapery around the human is that creation is mysterious. So we don't really, as people, we don't really know exactly where this iron, that is in Earth's core comes from. The amount of actual chemicals and liquids and things in these exact amounts to make life possible is a mystery. And so this is, it's not like, okay, so it's not a coincidence that things are just the way they are. This is creation in all aspects that has made the world. And when we do say made the world was once just all water, and as plates shifted and volcanoes came about, the water slowly shaped the land. So water, really built this and polished, of course, the land to make it inhabitable and, for life to be happening. So this is creation's mysteries, that there is this intelligence to it, and it is beyond our comprehension, no matter who we are, to just understand all aspects of that, because it is created by a subjective, purposeful consciousness that is both male and female. And so in the hands we have the two rods, kind of like we see with the magician, except it's basically just the forces of life and death. So flowing and the cycles. So of course everything living right now is in the process of dying, and when things die, ultimately when things die, things go back into the ground, and the earth gets back what it has made, right? So it can then break it down and use it again. Eventually, earth will go, but all the earth will, formed in those layers of sediment, will go back into the core and be physically, redistributed again till it goes back to the surface, which takes thousands of years and stuff. But that is how things literally go from ash to ash and dust to dust, and the purpose of it. So we are made exactly of what the earth is, and we will give it back. And that is the point. So consciousness is affected by that at different rates. Example would be ghosts. But that's a whole different story. So yeah, we just, creation is mysterious, and that is meant to be that way. Well, it's veiled. It's secret from us. But it's why we're all so tantalized with the mystery of creation. And we sit there and like, what exactly is God and creation? And so, basically another part of this is that it is very important to live and die, just like the world card implies. The ancient Greeks have, their thought was that being human, mortal, was just envied by the gods. It is the highest achievement, and it is. The highest achievement of creation is to live and die, to create life, and then that life dies. So living and dying are very important to existence. And in other words, the universe, if it was just the universe and there was no subjective us, then it wouldn't be able to fulfill its purpose. We are being used by the universe to fulfill its purpose. The human race, our purpose is to fulfill this by evolving our senses. So we used to see, not too many colors, 1,000 years ago. Now we see hundreds of colors. Our hearing has evolved. Our senses are evolving because that is what creation wants to do by living and dying. And the sensory living experience is the most holy thing that creation will ever make. So as much as we think of God as holy, we are that as well. We are creation's biggest achievement. And so that whole process, like I said, of living and dying is the ultimate, goal of the universe. And so the Creator lives through us in this way. It needs to have the sensory experience. In the card as well, the human here is kind of looking maybe down and to the side, and that has to do with this is creation looking down to incarnate. So it's like, consciousness, whether it's ghosts or reincarnated souls, are on a higher level than living, people. So it goes down to become, alive, a person close to the earth. So, and ultimately, it's that we have to have a good relationship with our mom. So we need to be close to the earth and be of it. And that is why we all feel better when we take a shower, conduct our electricity a little better in the shower. We go out in nature because we're in harmony. We just start to feel better. When this ego, soul, identity incarnates or reincarnates, they will take with them what they have just learned in a life. Most people will think of it as dreams, but it is memories many times. And it's the role of you as a current incarnation is to integrate that, and then you can take that integration and bring it forth into another lifetime. So this is going to happen over and over again, because the universe, creation, needs to have subjective human, animal, plant experiences, consciousnesses that live and die in cycles that are reflected by the seasons, the four corners, the four elements, and everything is a part of that creation. And creation needs us to fulfill its goal of perfecting the sensory experience, to be able to feel everything with the senses on all levels of vibration, and that's what it's going to do. So then when we see this in cards, we're really talking about a passage, a transition for somebody, and again, here they are naked, and they're shed their worldly possessions, because that's what happens when we die. We don't take our shit with us, and whether if you're a dead person buried in a dead tree, like a coffin, everything is going to get broken down, and you will be made, eventually naked by Mother Nature to recreate, be recreated again. And so that's just kind of how I think of it. But, this really depends on other cards around it as well. This is kind of like someone who is supposed to be moving on, and they're really not for some reason. They don't want to go through a transition, so someone who's having like a really hard time transitioning from teenager to young adult, let's say. And so you kind of can examine the other details that might have to do with the other factors. But yeah, so hopefully you guys got some shit out of that.